welcome back to another episode of her Gypsy Soul podcast, The Stories That Bind Us. My name is Jacqueline Van Beek. I am your host. I'm a singer songwriter, I'm an artist, a composer, and I just love bringing you some stories that people are sharing about their life experience. So, because we are so much more alike than we are different, and we are here to inspire one another, to support one another, and to really share. Is our duty almost to share our experiences, to enlighten someone else, or maybe encourage them or empower them to do the same. So with no further ado, today's guest is one of my best friends. She is like my sister from another mister, and she's actually the reason I am in the USA, because we at some point a long time ago decided to just pack up and go and move to New York. And so we've had some crazy stories, and in this episode we're not going to go deep into details of the stories, because we may end up actually writing a book about our story, because it was such a crazy time, such an amazing time, and so much adventure and so much risk we've taken, that I think it would really inspire many of you to hear that story. But today I just want to introduce you to her and like hear a little bit about her side of the story, and we'll share a few things. But I thought you might really enjoy hearing from two gypsies from Germany who decided to just like pack up and start over. It's just interesting how life sometimes where it takes you, and that one person can change your entire life, can change your entire journey. And I think for me, she's that person that has like really guided me into a direction that I needed to go, I wanted to go, and I don't know if I would have done that without her. So without further ado, here's my very, very good friend, my sister, Sandy. Hello, Sandy.
Hey, Jackie. How
Oh,
are you?
you're probably the only person who can call me Jackie, because I hate Jackie. But like
I
when
know I was just thinking that. I'm like, okay, JBB, JB, Pink Star.
I know when you say it, it's like, okay, I love her too much. You know,
Thank God.
to introduce people, you are like my sister from another mister. Um, and we've known each other for so long. And honestly, if it wasn't for you, I probably would not be in the USA. I don't know, maybe, but I think, I don't know. But you are the reason I'm here for sure. And we've done so much stuff. And, I just want us to talk a little bit about our story from these two crazy Germans who just decided, young and dumb, hey, we got to go to New York. What? And just doing dumb shit and crazy stuff. But I have zero regrets, and I'm sure you do too, because we just lived.
I absolutely have no regrets. I got to tell you, I don't think they were dumb at all. I think they were very brave. We were very bold. We had dreams and we just didn't care, I mean, what could possibly happen to us, right? Two crazy chicks that just decided, you know what, life is short and we're young and we want to live in the here and now and we just want to go and do stuff. And we did it. So I don't think it was dumb. I think it was very brave. It was very bold. It was dangerous too, but we were also very courageous to just, we didn't have an address or we just got a plane ticket. And I have absolutely no regrets. I think it was probably the best time of my life. It was so amazing not knowing, what the next day will bring. And once we landed in New York, and we knew it was big and it was huge and it was buzzing, and but we just sit there sometimes just in the corner in the middle of Manhattan, and we were just so happy just to be there. Remember that, how we were just sitting there and saying, oh, thank goodness we did this. And we didn't have much to eat. I do remember we were working um, for for our coffee and food at the radio station. where they always told us next day we were going to get a job and there's going to be jobs, and we were just hanging around, and then they would send us to Delhi, and we didn't care. It was fun, and and there was nothing stopping us from just carrying on every day
Right.
without any kind of plan.
I
That
got
was
tears in
awesome.
my eyes when you started talking about, because I remember, and I could cry now because I remember when we landed in New York, I was like, I'm in love. I'm
Yeah.
home. It felt
Yeah.
like home. And I still get emotional because I've gone through some stuff, but that was like it. I was
Yeah.
like, you find the love of your life. It's like this is it. This is home. And come on, let's not let's not be so
It's not
wishy-washy.
sentimental, but to tell you the truth, I feel the same way. Sometimes when I watch some things on TV, and and they talk about Chelsea and they talk about this and that, and uh, even though it's been so long since I've been there, but I do remember that once I think after the first month, I thought, I'm never going to leave here. I'm never going to leave here because you could just be and do, and I thought it was amazing how much love we got from strangers, from
My
all
God.
kinds of people from all walks of life, especially the ones that really didn't, they had less than we did. That
Yeah,
was amazing.
yeah.
That was really amazing.
And that radio station, it was not just a radio station. It was
It
Joe
was
Franklin.
huge. Yeah, Joe Franklin.
Joe Franklin, who's a legend, and I don't even exactly remember how we got to meet him, but he would always he would always invite us up and say, "Come on up," and we'd hang out, and he'd be like, "Good
With
news tomorrow, good
that
news tomorrow,
crazy office
good news
with
tomorrow,"
with papers with papers everywhere.
and
Papers
cockroaches,
galore.
and
And
cockroaches.
same cockroaches, yes.
He'd be
So,
like, and just okay, where were we? And then he would listen to his own show and enjoy with all his
oh,
own guys.
he would just love hearing himself talk. He was just
It
amazing,
was
yeah. And he would tell
hilarious.
us the good stories, yeah.
And we were so happy. It's like, here's $20. Get yourself something. You come back tomorrow. Good news tomorrow. Good news tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it's really important for especially younger people now, of course, because of Corona, everything. It's really, especially in Europe, I think it's really hard for people to just pack up and go.
I
I
know.
mean, already it's people don't usually do that, but we always had the notion of was the rock and roll and the music that kind of made us go too.
We had big dreams. And
We just wanted to be and do stuff that no 9 to 5 job and no husband and housewife. We wanted to live the rock and roll life, and we did, and thank goodness we did, because where is it now? I wouldn't want to do this now, but I gotta tell you,
I
if I was going to be reborn, I'd do the same thing all over again.
know. Amen. Same here. Because we partied with the rock stars and we were not sleeping around. We weren't groupies. We were just really legitimately like meeting these people, invited in and part of the family. It was just crazy.
It
All
was
this stuff.
amazing how we had this mindset. Okay, today we're going to go there and there, and then of course I already had the plan. I'm like, I kind of have a notion, I read something about we should check this out and that out, and before we knew it, there was like Joe Ramone, Michael Monroe, uh I don't know who, we know who too, but that's different part altogether. But that was pretty amazing, and the great shows. And when we went on tour with Warrior Soul, in the Rider Bus, amazing, just crazy, crazy good.
And come on, New York City, I'm so happy and grateful that we got to experience the New York City back in the day in the early 90s, where it was gritty, it was dangerous, but it was fun and exciting and his story. Like, I mean, that was just like out of the movies. Remember, like the limelight and all these.
It was before Giuliani.
Yeah, it was just fun and
But
crazy.
I gotta tell you, I was never really afraid in New York for some reason. I was never scared. I mean, we were sometimes 2 o'clock in the morning. We were walking home from the village. I don't know. I can't explain it. I always felt pretty safe. I
Same,
mean, yeah,
same. I
you
mean,
know,
come on, we were the girls
nothing really
who
happened to us.
what?
Nothing really bad happened to us. I mean,
No,
weird.
no. We jumped into a limo. They're like, "Hey guys, you want to go uptown with us?" We're like, "Sure." We're like, "What the hell?" I mean, looking back, it's like, really? But
Yeah,
we just did, and that's why I say stupid. But it's maybe naive. It's maybe just like living in the
naive.
moment.
It was naive.
Yeah,
It was
but we
naive.
were not. I believe that you have a gut feeling, and thankfully we were together, so we were always like having each other's back. Where we like, okay,
Yeah.
this is getting a little bit weird. Let's get the fuck out of here, right? And then we
Like
and
the people
oh,
with the monkey.
I was thinking the same thing. Oh my god. Tell
It
them a
was
little bit
amazing.
about that. Tell them a little bit about that because that was funny.
What those the same? Were those the same people?
Uh,
Sometimes there's so many things that happen, and I can't really.
I
It's like a puzzle. I'm like, did that belong together? The monkey and the astronauts?
I think so. They invited us. They did just. They found us on the street. They're like, "Oh my god, we want to take some pictures with you guys," and we're like, "Sure."
And we're like, "Yeah, take pictures." And then we went to their place, and they had a monkey, and they were partying, and we were not even party people back then. We were just, experiencing stuff, but we weren't party people.
No,
Funny enough. Funny
well,
enough.
no, we were. Well, party. You mean the drugs party? No, I mean, I was. We were like,
We had we used to love to drink scotch.
yes, we'd be like,
Everybody at the time was drinking scotch, and we were very particular about our kind of scotch.
"Oh my god,
Okay,
yeah."
I remember it was Valentine's, 7 or 12-year-old it had to be, and she was regal. I mean, yeah, yeah. And we used to go to the pit stop and to the scrap bar, of course, our
I
second home
love
away.
the scrap bar. Oh my god. We would be
Yeah,
like, that was like the hottest guys ever, and that was like our freaking like being at the meat market. Like,
yeah,
oh my
everybody.
god, they're hot.
Okay, what we're taking home today, tonight. You want to come? You want to come? How about you? Yeah, but that was normal, and that's something I really comparing to like LA, where everything is kind of like behind the scenes. In New York, what is where and who people are. You just know. If somebody's fucked up and they're stupid, In LA, kind of like you find out later because they're hiding it. So,
Yeah. Um, Coming back to the monkey story, and maybe that's a warning, like for people, like the good thing was that we were together, so we were invited and we were doing some photo shoots, and then it started like, oh, shed a little bit more. We're like, nah, let's not do that. And then, oh, I have some drinks, and that's when we stopped. We were like, no, we don't want to drink, because we knew, and that's a warning, like when girls, if you are hanging out, and it's all fun and games, but then once there's drinks involved, you got to be careful, and you have to have each other's back, knowing that let's get out of here, and we did, and that was probably a good thing.
yeah, you can never, no matter where you go as a young woman. Um, First of all, nobody should be out by themselves going to somebody's house they don't know, and then they should be with their best friends. And I think what was good for us was because we're very strong, and you know, they could feel like we can't mess with these girls because they're not, apparently they're see through us and they're strong. They're not
Yeah,
easily influenced. So that's really important. And well, they could be the nicest people. They could be the most beautiful looking people. Women just have to watch out, just don't fall for any
Yeah.
kind of bullshit, and don't go places by yourself, and don't give out your number right away.
And
Yeah.
don't say like you're together, because we tried that and that turned them on more. Remember? They're like, oh no, I'm with her. Oh really? Oh cool. We're like, oh shit.
I remember there was a situation where even like some woman came up to me and was hitting on me. It was some really pretty woman who were in some bar. I think it was the Limelight. I think it was one of those gay nights or whatever. But I mean, for me, it was always gay. It's like, okay, man, but I would never think that somebody would hit on me till I was hit on. And then I think I called you and I'm like, I'm with her. And then she even liked that better. And then she had like some other friend that was like, hey, those two chicks, Yeah, that was crazy. But I think being that young, you get exposed to it, you learn from it. But that was totally unexpected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel that again, like it sucks that all these cool clubs. I mean, everything changes, and that's just normal. Like there's a new generation, and there's a new New York. That's, I mean, and I went back a few times, and I'm still looking for that, and it's gone. And it's fine because things move on. But
But you might have to go, like these days, you might have to go to Brooklyn. I mean, Brooklyn has changed too. I mean, maybe you like Brooklyn is the new Manhattan. I don't know. I
yeah,
haven't been.
yeah.
Haven't been.
But I mean, like the rock and roll, like that
Yeah, vibe.
that vibe, it's gotten a little bit lost by all these yuppies, like just being spoiled, and
Yeah.
like and CBGBs. I mean, God, like I am so grateful I was able to actually play there and hang out
That
there.
is insane. That is just insane. That is,
Historic,
beyond the. I mean, this is just, who can say that they played there? You
historic,
know. Yeah. But that's something that should have never closed down. And also the Limelight. That's something I don't understand.
It's a mall
It,
now.
it should, it's a mall.
It's a mall and a gym, like, but it's so weird. Like like a few times I went in there, I'm like, oh my God, like thinking about what used to be and what was going on back
I
there,
wonder
because
what they found there when they started construction. They must have found some incredible things, in
it
those
must
little
have bounced, yes.
secret rooms.
I want to even found some cash somewhere stacked, like who knows, like drugs and cash. Yeah, because I mean, remember how crazy? I mean, there was like those days. There were rooms for like drugs. There was room for sex. That it was
Like,
just a crazy ass place.
yeah.
And it was a church. Like it's just so and some great. I mean, amazing events and shows were going on there. That
It was just beautiful. It was
yeah,
just a beautiful venue altogether.
yeah, yeah. Um,
Um, and then there was the oh boy, where did we go? The Meat District. I think 30 was it 13th Street Meat
yeah,
District, where we had these crazy
the fetish place.
parties.
The
Yeah.
fetish
That's
place.
totally all gone.
I was just talking about that with somebody. I forget the name right now, but it was crazy because it was just like, yeah, I mean, anything goes. It was almost like we were like, oh, let's get the hell out of here. It was kind of seedy a little bit, but it was a
It
very
was totally seedy.
what?
But I mean, then again, I mean, who would have thought that those places would even exist?
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
and what kind of, I mean, there was all kinds of people from all kinds of walks of life in there.
yeah, yeah. But it was very
And this time,
male.
I gotta tell you, that's really what I loved about New York. Anything and everything was going on at any time of the day and night. You know,
City that never sleeps. That's really what it was at the time. I mean, we would like, oh my God, in our baby doll dresses, we'd like throw ourselves in the garbage. And I just saw like, I forget what movie that was. I think it was like Seinfeld. And I think they did. And I was like, that's what Sandy and I used to do.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
We'd get trapped.
Sometimes whenever I used to love watching Seinfeld, and when I would see Kramer, then sometimes I'm like, I used to be like the Kramer in my heydays. Like the yeah, I think it was 2:30 in the morning, and I fell in between, and it was so nice and mushy, and was right in front of our door, and I could have just slept there.
Oh, and the cops came. They're like, "Are you guys okay?" We were like laughing our asses off. We are like, "Yeah, we're fine." And they're like, "Okay."
Be happier.
You
Yeah.
know, we lived in a hostel at the Chelsea hostel, and it was actually right kind of across from the police station. Um, and we saw the craziest. Remember what?
Sixth precinct? Was it the sixth precinct?
I'm not sure, but it was just so interesting all the time. The creatures that were walking around, and we'd be like at 3 in the morning, we're like, I can't sleep. Can you know? Let's go out and get a beer and walk around. We would just like walk around and sit on some stairs and like I don't know. It was just such a crazy, awesome
It was a
time.
great, yeah, it was great times.
You know, we'd be like sitting on the street with our we were big time into going to these psychics that would like tell us what to do, and then we'd like sit on the street and burn like candles and do our rituals, and people walk by and just like, okay, whatever.
We're celebrating Venus Day. It's like 90 degrees outside. Everybody's sweating their butts off, and we're burning a candle.
You're frozen.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
that,
Street. Shopping on 34th Street. And remember those little vendors that always had like nice fruits and stuff? And you could just get like, three apples for $1 or something like that. Remember that? Right
oh,
on the corner of
oh, I just remember one of my funnest memories too is like when we used to go, we'd go out every night. Like, so we would work and then we would go to, we had each night was a different club, a different bar. Like the Pit Stop, what you were saying, then the Scrapper was on Saturdays, I think, and Fridays. Sunday was the Limelight. I
and
forget.
Wednesdays sometimes, and sometimes Wednesdays.
Oh, right.
Like the drag queen night.
Oh my God, it was so amazing. But we would go to those after, we would go to the delis. And I remember always putting ginger on my because you get I love that, right? Like you had a few drinks and then you go and you get all the little mashed potatoes, whatever, you know. And I would always
Yeah,
get
and everything tastes good.
it was so good. I mean, I don't know if I would eat it now, but like, but and the ginger, I would always think like I hate it. It tastes like soap, but I would always eat it. Like I would always get it on my plate. And
But how
now
fun! We used to already eat it back then. I wouldn't even have known what that was.
I know I didn't know either. And I was like,
It did taste like soap.
it did, but I loved it. It was like one of those, it's disgusting, but I can't stop eating it kind of thing. Oh my God.
That we talk about it. I see those little. That's another thing, Sometimes on TV, when you see like these cop thingies, these cop stories, and you see the little delis, I'm like, I think I went there. I think this is where we used to have breakfast. Like back in those days, you got a coffee and a donut, I think, for $1.50. Remember that? Or like scrambled eggs and a coffee for like $3.
Ah, we used to love going on in Chelsea, right around the corner on, I think it was 23rd and 8th. There was does that Greek deli, remember?
Yes,
And we
yes,
go
yes. It had round and it had these red leather seats.
yes,
Oh
yes.
my God. And it had the best toast. That was like such a highlight. And I remember one time it was 3 in the afternoon and we wanted to have breakfast. And nobody would serve us breakfast. And then we went to Wendy's and we were able to get some breakfast. And they're like, but it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And we're like, well, our 3 o'clock in the afternoon is like your 8 o'clock in the morning. You know, remember that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, okay, hold on. I lost you.
Yeah, you were frozen for a second.
Yeah, you were like, but you were frozen really pretty. You were kind of like this, and I was like, that's cool. I hope I hope it didn't stop recording what we did before. Hopefully not. Yeah, I can't tell. So I just have to pray that it recorded while I was stopping in between. Um, you know, there are so many stories to share, and I just, I totally, I'm spacing out right now. There was one thing I wanted to say that was like, we always found a way to, first of all, get by to make a living, right?
Yeah, and we weren't working. We
Huh?
had to. I mean,
Yeah,
we always had to. We always had to find a way to make money.
and we always did.
We always
And I,
did.
and I think that is another part, like when people, sometimes you just have to be adventurous and creative and just like, there's always a way, because I think a lot of people are sometimes scared thinking, oh, I can't just move, get up and go. But that's what we did. Okay, we went to New York twice. The first time we just checked it out and we were like, oh my God, this is it. We got to come back. We went back
We
home.
gotta go back. I
We
still
went
have
back,
the ticket. I still have the ticket.
you do? Oh my God. We went back home, worked our asses off for like a year, and then we went back and we were like, okay, this time we're gonna stay. We didn't tell anybody, but we knew we're gonna stay, you know. And but even then, we only had so much money for a little bit, and then we knew that we just have to make shit happen. And that's maybe another thing for people to know: when you really set your mind to something, you can make things, especially now. Can you imagine? Now we have the
Yeah.
internet. You don't even have to be working in a place.
We didn't have phones. We had pagers. No, hold on a second. The pagers came way later.
We
Remember
didn't have
those little pagers?
we didn't have pages.
Later, we used to still go to the payphone.
Oh my
Does
God!
anybody know what a payphone is? It's that funny little thing. You punch in numbers and you have to like put coins in, and you have to have quarter to put them in.
Once
They
in a
don't
while,
exist anymore.
I
That
still see
existed
some here and there.
now.
At the campground here, they have a payphone. I'm like, that is so funny. They still, who uses that? Yeah,
Cool.
we call
I
German.
wonder if these days, do kids know what payphones are? I don't think they know what that is.
Well, they still exist, but I don't know if they would know how to use it. They'd be like, what is
They're probably like ashamed to use them.
this? It's like, where can I put my card in?
Exactly.
No, you need change, like the meter for your car. And another thing, and I mean, that's the same thing where you are now in Europe. I feel like Hanover and Berlin and the big cities in Germany are so well. They have such a great metro system. But back in the day, even New York was freaking amazing. Of course, you could get anywhere. Being in a
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Port
That
Authority, buses and trains and
yeah, it was really. I mean, that's another thing I really always loved about the city, where I was like, you don't need a car unless you want to go. And even what?
you don't are there.
No, no,
Where you're going to be stuck in traffic anyway.
exactly. I mean, I love driving in Manhattan, and I had a car when I was living in Jersey City,
I never
obviously.
did.
But yeah, you don't need a car in Manhattan. It's great to have it, but you don't need it,
You know, they
especially.
But coming back to teenagers these days, they don't really have the opportunity anymore, but they have other opportunities. But I think for everybody out there who's young, don't let anything stop you. If you feel like you want to go and do something, do it. It doesn't have to be New York. It could be just another city. It could be just taking a trip on the weekend, going someplace where you've never been, but do it. Don't be afraid. You can always come back home. Just go and do. Because you create memories, and sometimes you experience things that you would have never dreamed of. And they could be the little things, they could be big things. The things that you experience they're different for everybody. We needed to have the huge crazy stuff happening, you know so, and thank goodness we were able to do that. So That's pretty awesome.
Well, I think
It's
we
too
get,
bad we don't have enough pictures. I wish we would have more
I
pictures.
know,
If we would have had a smartphone back then, oh my goodness,
I know. Oh my God.
it's
Um,
really right.
because one thing for sure, we had a dream, and we made a lot of our dreams come true. We did a lot of things that we had put in our minds, and we were like, we met the rock stars. We went to those shows. We
We
had
toured, we did, yeah.
we explored Manhattan. We made good money. So we had fun, and I think,
I would say 95% of everything that we wanted to do, we did.
yeah, yeah,
The 5% that we're missing, only you and I know. Eh, what can you do?
and I think that we worked the law of attraction without even knowing it, because we called it
Oh, big
magic.
time.
We
Oh,
call,
big
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah,
The law of attraction, without even having ever read anything or known anything about it, we it worked because what we've experienced, it was so insane. It was so crazy. I remember you and I when we were still in Germany, and we used to meet during lunchtime because you would work across from my office. We would meet in the middle, and every day we would write stories. We write up stories, what we want to have happen, and bam, I mean, they did happen, didn't they?
yeah.
It's
It's
pretty
pretty
amazing.
wild. It's pretty
So,
wild.
for
Yeah,
everybody out there, write down what you want and what you dream of, and magic can happen. Got to
absolutely.
believe it.
Gotta believe it, and we believed it. We were like, we we told people our story like it was true, like, because we believed it. If we weren't, that's the difference between like lying and just like uh, um manifesting. And we were just like, first of all,
Oh,
most of the, yeah, like,
no, we were so certain because we said this is what we want, and if we're going to break the whole world in half, we're gonna make it happen.
yeah. For sure. And
That's
sometimes you gotta let
really,
go. And we've done this so many times, like both of us, we've started over from zero many times, and I think a lot of people, we all are guilty of that. We hoard, we have all this stuff, but then when we finally let go, you realize you don't need all that stuff. What you need is breathe and be
so
free,
much freedom left. Yes,
you know and I mean,
absolutely. And for myself, I want to have less things now. Less, I keep wearing the same clothes. I don't really. I need a couple of things. A toothbrush. A shaver, of course. A couple of things to wear. My reading glasses these days, and I'm fine. And of course everything for my dog. And but I don't need. You know, suitcases full of stuff that you keep carrying around the world and you never use for what? It's
yeah,
it's it's putting you down. You need to have freedom, and that only works if you let go of materialistic things because they're really unimportant. Everything that you need in your life is here and it's here. And if you have it, you my goal these days is just to work on myself more as a person and to enjoy now. I'm not thinking about the things that I cannot have. I'm thinking about the things that I do have, and I appreciate them and I'm grateful for them. And that works too. I am. I mean, my life has turned 360, but I'm a very happy person being with my dog and I and just enjoying nature these days. And there's going to be a time where there's going to be other dreams again. And,
yeah,
can always make it happen. As long as you live and you're healthy, you can always make everything happen that you want. Just got to
absolutely.
know what
Yeah, and it's
to
true.
do.
Your health. If you don't have your health, you have nothing. You could have all the money in the world. If you're not healthy, then the money is not gonna
It's not
bring
going to
you
help you.
happiness. And I'm the same way. Like, I love, and Bolt is like my, he brings me so much happiness, and it's as long as I have my dog, I always say that I'm fine. you know,
I get it.
our internet is
That's
unstable.
exactly how I feel.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
it's
you know what? My dad
you what? What?
my battery is dying.
Oh,
My
you bad.
battery is dying.
Can you plug it in?
Yeah.
Can you plug your phone?
Yeah. Then I'm going to have to take you for a walk.
Take me for a walk. It's fine.
Mm, yeah, take you.
Yeah, if you don't mind. Um,
I
yeah,
don't mind.
yeah, the internet is a little shitty. There's one more thing I wanted to say. The other interesting thing is with us, right? That, and we can talk so much more about all the details, what we've done, because there's so much, so many stories, amazing stories. But I think what is also cool is that, so we spent like 7 months, 8 months in a hostel together, right? We were like, living there, and I mean, we would go anywhere and be like, where, if I was not with you, they'd be like, where's your other half, where's Sandy,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, double team. We were
because
double.
we were like glued to the hip.
Yeah.
And then actually at some point we moved to Jersey City, and then things happened and we split. And when I say it sounds like we're like dating or whatever, but we weren't,
We kind of were married.
we kind of were married, right?
We
But
had a hiatus for a while.
but then we went different ways, and
Yeah.
we didn't talk for like over 15 years, and then we ended up finding each other again.
Yeah, but hold on. That's a whole different story to tell, because there are those little bitty teeny weeny details that we need to talk about another day.
Okay.
They're very important, because I do remember actually seeing you a couple of times thinking that's her, but I didn't think you were there, but it must have been you, because you know what I mean, when we were in LA. But I think that's another story. I
It
think
is another
LA is
story.
yet another
I know.
story.
We have so many stories to share, but we wanted to
We
just
still have to,
introduce what?
we still have to do Jersey a little bit.
Oh my God, that's so much. Yeah. I mean, from Hanover to like being in New York, and then our favorite town in New Jersey. And then we reconnected in freaking LA when we realized we were actually neighbors. And that was kind of amazing. And so yeah, we've known each other for so long, and we've done so much in such a short time. We've done so much, because if you think about it, like New York, it was like less than a year, but what we've lived in that year is crazy. Like, I mean, you know,
That's for me. It felt like it could have 10 years.
yes,
It
yeah,
doesn't. It wasn't a short time, because it was so. I mean, one day was so packed with so many adventures and so many things going on.
yeah, yeah.
Others would have done that maybe like in 5 months, 6 months. We did it in a day. It was pretty intense.
It was super
I'm
intense.
surprised we slept at all.
I know, right? Like, not much,
Yeah.
but we did. We were always on the go, and always
Remember being so
the what? What?
we always used to say we sleep when we're dead.
Oh, we always said that. Yes, yes, we did. We did. I know, because there
Yeah.
was just too much life to live. And I mean, it's not over, but it's just a different chapter. But it was just like the most amazing time, I would say, in my life for sure. And again, no regrets. Like, all the crazy shit we've done,
Ever.
you know. And we may actually write a book about it. We have talked about it possibly, because
I think we should. And I think this podcast might even help us, you know, uh, remembering details, because once we start talking about it again, I have these pictures in my head, and I remember because there was so much happening in such a short time, and then time went by. Now it's been a while, but it's coming back.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
definitely have to talk.
I know how we like ended up in Washington D.C.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! That was even before New York.
Oh, that was before we moved there. That's right.
See?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
now we have to like backwards. We have to rewind because
We met these people, and then we how did we? You know more than me. Like, if
another story.
no, but tell us, because now we already like mentioned it a little bit. Just tell them who we met, because
So we were, I think we met this person through, I want to say, Patrick Prendergast.
who was it
Yes.
for Bon Jovi?
It was the whole Bon Jovi story. The whole Bon Jovi story is. And yeah. And Patrick introduced us to this person, I want to say in the Fledermaus. He was with him in the Fledermaus. While Patrick was on tour with Skid Row. Was that so? I think it was so.
You met that guy in Hanover?
Oh boy. And that guy was from New York. And he said, well, if you guys are coming to New York, I might be able to help you with a job. And he was working as a volunteer for George Bush Senior's Veterans Creed. There was an organization that was helping veterans from the Second World War and the Vietnam War in the hospitals, because I remember back in those days there was always some kind of problems with medication for the soldiers, for the veterans, U.S. veterans. And so there's this organization that was sponsored by George Bush Senior, where people would go and tour through the country and check out the hospitals and make sure that the veterans are well taken care of. And when we came to New York, we went to his house and he invited us, and he said if we wanted to volunteer. And we said, yes, we wanted to. And he came up with this great concept. And then he took us to Washington, D.C. And we were at the Lincoln Memorial. I have the picture. You have the picture too. I gave it to you.
Yeah.
And we were standing there in front of us, no, behind us, this huge statue of Lincoln, President Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln. And then he had a meeting with the staff of the vice president. And back in those days, we didn't really have a clue, but before we knew it, we shook hands with Vice President Dole. And he was the vice president of George Bush Senior. And he thought it was so great that we came all the way from Germany to volunteer, to do the volunteer work for a year for Veterans Creed. And he shook our hands. And unfortunately, we don't have a picture of that, and no video and nothing. And it's like every time I think about that, I mean, who gets to shake a vice president of the United States hand? Hello. It's pretty awesome.
That was pretty funny. Like, yeah, it's just so random.
We came, the funny thing about that I remember also about Washington, we came out of that gigantic office, and they have this funny rule in the city in Washington, D.C., where at a certain time of day, everything becomes a one-way street. Remember that? We came out and we remember the cars were going a different route. No. And then this person told us, well, at 4 p.m., everything in this direction becomes a one-way street because they want people to get away from like the White House and the memorial. Everybody has to go in one way. It was really bizarre. Yeah, I remember that too. Yeah, and so yeah, that was the Washington story.
I have zero memory of that. The same with Joey Ramone. Like we were hanging out, like going from that to like the Ramones. Remember that?
Yeah. You don't remember he was sitting, that old fart was sitting there with, I think, five women on each side, and everybody was just ha 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 and he, and he's such a character, and he was really really nice, and he had big glasses on, and he had this really, like, his voice, and he was very polite. He was very polite and funny, but he had these giggling chicks all around him. It was like a circus. I was at the Grand,
Yeah, see, like things like that you remember. I have no memory of that. Like it's so funny that certain
That's why
things.
we need to talk about that more so you can remember, because you should never ever forget these wonderful pieces of life.
I know. Well, I remember a lot of things, but not that. It's just like certain things. It's the same with my band. Um, certain things I just don't remember, and I wasn't even drunk. It just,
Yes.
I think there's just so much in my head.
It is, seriously, it's just because when one experiences so much on a daily basis for years and years, you just sometimes forget certain things.
Yeah, yeah, it's very strange, and other things, I totally.
Do you remember when the David Letterman show, and I had no idea how huge David Letterman was, and I did the stand-in for the paparazzi for Nicole Kidman. Do you remember that?
No, in New York.
In New York for the David Letterman show. And I back in those days I had red hair. I dyed my hair like it was more like strawberry red. And somebody asked me on the street, and I'm like, yeah, but she's like so tall. She's like this, right? Excuse me. And he's like, well, for like $250, would you do it? And I'm like, hey, yeah, of course I would do it. So all I had to do is get out of the cab, pretend like I'm all private, run into the Letterman studio so she could get in from the back without the paparazzi seeing her. That was right when she started going out with Cruz, and before she did anything to her face. And apparently, we kind of like, um, you know, looked a little bit like each other. So,
Yeah, you look like her, definitely.
yeah, it's so funny. My mother was watching this movie called Going West with Tom Cruise, and there's this scene, and I swear to God, when I saw that movie, I was shocked myself because I'm like, it looks like me when I was like 15, with my frizzy hair and stuff. And she's laying in bed, and my mother is calling me. She's like, "You did not tell me you did a movie." I'm like, "Mom, that's not me. That's Nicole Kidman."
That says something if your mom says that.
And I have this picture somewhere. I rented that movie again, and I took a picture with a camera, and then I took a picture from when I was in college, and I put it next to each other, and it's just the mimic, because we got kind of like small lips, and yeah, funny. Yeah, so that's Letterman's story there.
Yeah, it's just. I mean that's an amazing thing for both places. Being in New York or being in LA, you see a lot of stars, and you have a lot of opportunity to be in those kind of situations, which is kind of cool. And you wouldn't experience that if you were like somewhere in a small town. Um,
But I gotta tell you, I know a lot of people that live in LA and they've never really seen anybody. And
yeah,
then
I mean,
I love it. Try to do this if you.
yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of my idols. I would say it's always, I don't know. There's not many people who get me like really like star like struck, but like there were a few people I'm like, oh, Chester Bennett.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chester was one of them. And it's funny because there's a lot of people that we are in the same circle and people knew him. And I was like, God, why could you introduce me? You know?
Exactly, because you're in the same circle.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
But I feel like, I don't know, LA has always been like a love-hate relationship for me. I always loved New York more for the people are just a bit more real and the energy is slightly different. While I'm also very grateful though, everyone I've met in LA for the most part, they were really amazing people because nobody is really from LA, like nobody is from like,
Nobody's really from LA now,
so
exactly.
it's always
If
funny
you
when
ever
people
meet,
huh?
woohoo! If you ever meet anybody, give them a
I met,
star on the walk of fame.
I know I've met actually like at least a handful, like
I met maybe two,
I've met
maybe.
quite a few people. I'm like, holy shit, you're from LA? Like for real? you know, but it's
Most of my friends have moved out. Most of my friends are gone now.
yeah, yeah, I know. A lot of mine are
This
too.
is the same as it was.
Yeah. But LA, I think if you put politics aside, which I don't even want to talk about, but the you got everything. You got the ocean, you got the mountain, you got the palm trees, you got the weather. It's just
Yeah,
it's
you
beautiful.
know, I gotta tell you, I was never that crazy about that ocean. It was too rough. It's too cold. It's too dark. Eh, and most of the times, like it's too hot to go to the beach, or you cannot drive to the beach because there's always traffic. There's always something.
Yeah, but I mean, you got that everywhere, But I don't know. I I love LA still, and I definitely still love New York, although it's not the New York I remember. But again, time changes, and we got to adapt, And it will
Yeah,
always,
yeah.
in my heart, it will always be my favorite city. You know?
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. No doubt about it.
yeah.
No doubt about it. And for us having done this huge step going there, it took us pretty much. If you can make it there, you can really go anywhere. You know, it's true because then you become fearless and you know what you need to watch out for. I learned so much in New York about people, about situations, but where to go, what not to do, and you can pretty much go anywhere in the world and get along.
Absolutely. I mean, and I'm with you. I've never felt scared in New York ever. Like, you
I
know,
was never afraid.
no.
It's I always felt very well protected, and I can't explain it. It's just maybe also because we wanted it to be that way.
And that
you know.
boils back to the law of attraction. I always feel like, and it's the same with my band. We never really had bad things happen to us, like van broken into or like really bad things, because I think that when you put good out, good comes back, and we never even entertained that thought. And I'm not saying don't be cautious, but we didn't
Well, be cautious, but don't be afraid.
yeah,
Just
yeah, be cautious, but don't be afraid and live in fear. Exactly,
don't live
exactly.
exactly. Don't live in fear. Living in fear is
And I think this is like, maybe to wrap it up for today. I mean, we would have to get so much more into detail, but I think the message even for today is right, because there's so much fear mongering going on, that don't live in
yeah.
fear, man. Live for today, because that's what we did, and we're still doing it, because you still get up and leave and do like trips. Now you're back in Europe, and Europe, the great.
I just did it not too long ago, and everybody says, "Oh, but you cannot sleep over. Nothing is open." And I'm like, you know what? It's time for me to go. I'm going.
Yes,
I'm gonna.
yeah,
And hey, it wasn't, it was kind of like Chelsea Hotel, a hostel a little bit, but who cares? I wanted to be out. I wanted to be by the ocean. I just needed a bed and a shower.
yeah,
So I got it.
yeah.
Why listen to what other people are telling you you're supposed to do? This is what, especially, we don't want to talk about politics, but this is what world politics in every country, that's what they want. They want to control you and they want you to
Yes,
live in fear.
yes,
And if you live in fear, you don't get anything done. You'll never go anywhere. So don't listen to anybody. Just listen to your gut feeling. Listen to
exactly.
your gut feeling. You never do anything wrong.
And you know what
So
people don't realize is fear like is bad for your immune system. It lowers your immunity. Fear makes you sick. And so,
yeah,
being courageous and just doing your thing and not being a slave to freaking the government is like so important because, slave to the grind. you know,
yeah, monkey business, same thing.
it's the same
Uh,
thing. And that's, I think, I hope that, our listeners like will know realize that because I don't, nobody can tell me who to hug, where to go, where to travel because this is my life and you don't control my life. And we lived like that forever, and I don't think anybody can stop us now.
whatever's supposed to happen is going to happen anyway.
Exactly.
Whether we know or don't know. But I'd rather not know. I just want to do what I want to do. And you know what? My manco, my thing is, whatever the day brings, I want to be happy every day. Even if it's a shitty day, I want to still at the end of the day say it was a good day. It wasn't a great day, okay, but it was a good day. And that's what's really important. You know,
Absolutely.
nothing is perfect anymore, and I think everybody learned that. And but if it's going to rain outside, if it's stormy, I'm still going to go outside and I'm going to be happy as can be because I want to. That's the way I decide. I want to live that way.
Yes.
I want to live happily.
Yes. Yes.
Less wrinkles. Hey, I gained a lot of weight, but less wrinkles. Haha. Not not happy about the weight gain. But then, I'm like, okay.
You look
Mm-mm,
beautiful as long as you feel healthy, and it,
I do.
I'm so with you because I'm the same way. And I always like, I don't care what weather it is outside. I got my boy and we're going to go out. You know,
Yeah, you and I were the same in that respect. I
we
mean,
are, we are totally. Yeah. I mean, that's like, and I think that's
that's
why we got along so well.
that's a gift, and you know what? That's something also people can practice. People can practice just when they're sitting there. Oh, but the weather is shitty, and you know what? Change your mind. Say, you know what? I'm going to try something else. I'm going to put my rainy boots on and dress up warm. I'm going to go outside and let's see what happens. And you know what? Most of the time, they're probably going to enjoy it, and they're going to say, "Why didn't I do this earlier?" So do it.
Yeah. Honestly, if I feel crappy, a walk outside makes everything go away. It's best therapy there is for sure. Girl, I love you so much.
I
Thank you
love
for
you
thank you for your time. And I mean, we've
too.
been we've been a little wishy-washy, but I think there's just so much to talk about that it's hard to like put it in one little
But
podcast.
just talking about it makes me like seriously. I need to.
You're like, like
It gets me. No, it gets me so excited. Like I want to go. I want to do.
I know. Yeah. So our message for you is, man, like just like live life today and do if you feeling it. And that was the one thing in The Secret, in the movie The Secret that you've watched too, right? That we've done way back then was like if something says do it, just do it. Don't
Yeah,
hesitate.
if
Don't
opportunity presents itself,
yeah,
take it.
you take
Because if you don't take it, and trust me, a couple of years back. Now that I'm thinking back, the universe has sent me so many good things, and I've just not acknowledged them. Uh, and now I kind of regret it because I'm like, if you don't acknowledge them, then the universe thinks you don't want it and nothing comes back. So acknowledge, take it, and don't ask. Just take it
yeah, yeah.
because they're for you to take. You only have that one life. Live it to the fullest. Stay healthy, happy, and make it a great.
Love you, girl. We'll talk
Love you.
very soon. We'll talk very soon. Mwah. Bye. As always, thank you so much for joining, for tuning in. I know there's so many other things you could be doing with your time. I hope you enjoyed this, and sorry about the little internet connection issues because she's in Germany and I'm at a campground in Michigan. So there were a few little frozen up moments, but I hope you enjoyed it and you got something out of it and inspired you to maybe do something that you've been afraid to do. Take the leap, take some action, take some risk, um, whatever that means. Always feel free to reach out to my guests and feel free to reach out to me. And if you would love to be on my podcast and share your story, you can reach me at jacquelinevanbeek@gmail.com. Hit me up on Facebook or on Instagram. And as always, thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe, like, and share. And I will talk to you in the next episode. Have an amazing day, week, year, life. Power, power, power. Power, power, power. We had a situation, the train has left the station. Don't be telling more lies, I don't wanna hear it. No more expectations, we're past our expiration. One too many times, I'll survive. Gonna wake up, dust the dirt on my shoes, remind myself life goes on without you. Without you. Once you know the power of goodbye. Once you know the power of let go. Gonna set you free, focus back on me. Let the past be the past, take my power back. You left me where I'm supposed to be, so I thank you for being part of my history. Wake up, dust the dirt on my shoes, remind myself life goes on without you. Without you. Once you know the power of goodbye. Power, I stay in my power. Once you know the power of let go. Power, I stay in my power. Goodbye, goodbye, a blessing in disguise. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Goodbye, goodbye, a blessing in disguise. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. I stay in my power. I stay in my power. Goodbye, goodbye. Gonna wake up, dust the